Rain hammered against the towering glass windows of the private hospital, streaking down like silver tears as the city lights flickered beyond. Inside the VIP wing, a young girl of 12 sat in her wheelchair, her eyes fixed on nothing. Once full of laughter, ballet classes, and school recitals, Emily had been left paralyzed from the waist down after a car accident that shattered not only her spine but her spirit. Her father, Michael Hayes, one of the city's most powerful CEOs, had spared no expense. The best doctors, the most advanced therapy, cutting-edge technology. But nothing seemed to lift his daughter out of the quiet, gray fog she now lived in. The corridor outside her room smelled faintly of antiseptic and despair. The man who could move markets with a phone call stood helpless, unable to heal his own child. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of ordinary people to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Hidden Hearts. Your support helps bring more inspiring stories like this one to life. Michael's world had always been about control, results, and numbers. Yet here he was, sitting on a hospital bench late at night, feeling like the smallest man in the building. Doctors had told him recovery was possible but slow, emotionally and physically. Emily had stopped speaking more than a few words at a time. She refused to eat properly, ignored the therapy sessions, and sat by the window for hours. Staff whispered about how different she was before. Michael overheard them and felt the knife of guilt twist deeper. He couldn't undo the accident. He couldn't be two parents at once. He could only watch his little girl fade. It was on one of these bleak afternoons that Thomas Carter arrived. He wasn't a doctor, nor a therapist. He was a single father who volunteered at the hospital's children's wing after his own son had spent months there recovering from a rare illness. Thomas was a man with calloused hands and kind eyes, a delivery driver by trade, but his presence was warm, steady, and real. He had no degrees framed on the wall, no special uniform, just a worn denim jacket and an easy smile that even the nurses said had healing in it. He first saw Emily staring at the blank television screen in the common room. Instead of trying to cheer her up with bright words, he simply sat down across from her and began quietly folding origami cranes from scrap paper, his big fingers surprisingly gentle. Day after day, Thomas showed up, never intruding, just being there. Sometimes he read aloud from adventure books. Sometimes he talked softly about the stray dog he and his son had adopted. Slowly, Emily began to glance at him, then listen, then answer in short, hesitant phrases. The first time she smiled, really smiled, was when Thomas showed her how to fold her own paper crane. Michael, passing by, stopped in the doorway, stunned. This stranger was reaching his daughter in a way he, with all his resources, could not. The weeks unfolded like the paper cranes Thomas left behind on her nightstand. Emily began attending therapy sessions again, encouraged by Thomas's gentle persistence. He brought his son one weekend, and the two children played a board game together, Emily's first in months. Michael watched, humbled, as his daughter's spirit flickered back to life under the care of a man who had nothing to gain. One evening, while Emily was being wheeled to the garden for fresh air, Thomas leaned toward Michael and quietly said, "I'll help her. She just needs someone to believe she's still whole." For the first time in months, Michael felt a lump rise in his throat that wasn't from despair, but gratitude. Soon, Emily was pushing herself harder in physical therapy. She began sketching again, drawing bright, hopeful pictures of gardens, of dogs, of paper cranes. Her laughter started to echo in the hallways. Nurses noticed the change, and Michael began visiting the therapy room not as an anxious observer, but as a father eager to cheer his daughter on. Thomas never asked for thanks or recognition. He showed up with his steady presence, his stories, his quiet encouragement, and a belief that children heal best when they feel seen. As spring approached, Emily took her first tentative steps with a walker. Michael stood at her side, one hand hovering near her back, the other covering his eyes. Thomas and his son clapped softly, the small sound filling the room with warmth. Michael knew this was just the beginning. A long road still lay ahead. But his daughter was no longer lost in that gray fog. She was fighting her way back, one step at a time. And a man who had almost nothing had given her the most priceless gift: hope. If this story has touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Hidden Hearts. Your engagement helps these true-to-life, inspiring stories reach others who might need them. Before you go, please comment below what part of the story inspired you the most. We'd love to hear your thoughts.